long ago that maybe there's an outside chance he could be ready for the championship game, so that's what I've gone with in my mind. Quan's been trying to get back since the day after it was hurt, so he's been trying to prove us wrong on that, and he's more ahead of schedule now than a week ahead of schedule than we anticipated. He's been cleared by the medical staff, and now it's just about how he looks out on the field and things like that, and we'll have a padded practice tomorrow that'll help give us a little bit better idea.
So in other words, it's now a coaching decision?
Now it's a coaching decision, yes.
Does come back, but does he go right back to weak side, or do you ease him in some way into the mix?
Probably won't decide that till kickoff.
What's his greatest impact in this particular matchup? What would his greatest impact be?
Quan's a very good linebacker. He runs and hits. He's smart in our defense. The energy you guys see him walk around and live his life by is the energy that he brings on the football field too. So our team loves him. We're fired up when he's out there, and he's a good player also.
Your admiration for Kirk Cousins has been well documented, but why did you guys click in those 2 years in Washington? What about him as a young player made such an impression on you?
Just how efficient he was coming out of college, just watching him on film, and then being with him for 4 years, knowing how talented he was as a thrower, but being with him for 4 years, just his mind and how he worked at it, and how he understood everything that was happening, whether it was good or bad, which when you're like that, you know that they can learn from things.
What's the most outstanding thing about his development since you've left?
I think he's been the same. I think he's always just steadily climbed each opportunity. Every time he's gotten more opportunities, he's only gotten better. I know when he's had bad games, he's always learned from them and come back and respond. So I think he's just been given the right opportunity. Whenever he has been given the right opportunity, I think he's shown people he's one of the better quarterbacks in this league.
Carl, you said last week you're optimistic about Tart and D Ford. Do you still have that optimism for D?
I do, yes.
How are you going to look at the cornerback position, Kyle? Are you going to evaluate with Witherspoon and Mosley kind of back and forth the next couple of days?
I've got a pretty good idea which way we're leaning towards, but it's not a big difference to me. I know it is to them because I know both of them want to get out there so bad. I think we got two guys that I feel very confident, both of them helping us win, and whoever starts, it'll be based off of who we think gives us the best chance on Sunday.
Having won in New Orleans last month, you have an understanding of what type of confidence I can give a team. How much confidence did that give you guys, and how much confidence are you expecting the Vikings to maybe have gained from that?
I think it gives you, anytime you beat a good team, it gives you a lot of confidence, and especially when you do it in a tough place like down there. But I thought it gave us a lot of confidence for whatever that means, but we came back and lost the next week, so I don't know what that means. So what it means is how good we play on Saturday and how good they play on Saturday.
Kyle, George and other players talk about Jimmy's leadership. Now, we don't always see it, don't see him barking everyone. What do you think his style of leadership is? What kind of leader do you think he is?
I think he's a very good leader because he's himself and people respect how he plays. Jimmy doesn't change, whether he's doing really good or really bad. Or whether he has a bad day or a good day. He's going to treat everyone the same. He's always the same guy, the same friend, the same teammate. He works the same regardless. And I think just the way he talks to guys, he doesn't sit there and talk down to people. That's not really his style to ride people. But he also has a way of holding people accountable by being himself too. And that stuff only works if you work and they respect how you play. And Jimmy has earned that respect how he's played. He's earned it how he's worked. And I think the guys really appreciate him as a man.
What kind of influences Gary Kubiak had on your career, and also what influence have you seen on the Vikings?
Sorry, you said the beginning of that?
Gary Kubiak, what kind of influence has he had on your career, and also what influence have you seen him have on the Vikings this year?
Gary's been huge on my career. I think everyone knows how long he was with my dad. I knew Gary when I was younger, being a ball boy, which probably wasn't a good first impression for myself to him. But Gary, I started in the NFL out of college with John Gruden, and then I went to Gary. He gave me my first position job as a receiver coach, and then the first coordinator job 2 years later. And Gary was awesome because you're always a product of your environment. I always loved Gary as a human and a person. which he's off the charts with. That's why the players love him. That's why coaches love him. It was great for my football acumen just to go there, especially following Tampa. I mean, it was two extremes, being with someone like John Gruden, who does every play known to man, and you have so much scheme, which was awesome. And then you learn it all. And then you went to Gary, who believed less is more, and not having as much. And you come from one extreme, and that's all you know, and then you go to the other, and it's totally different. You're like, well, that can't work because this is what I know. And then you start to realize the pluses and minuses of both, and that helps you develop your own opinion on what it is. But the two people I started out with were both two very good offensive coaches who were completely different, which I think really helped me.
How about what he's done for the Vikings? Have you seen his influence when you watch him?
Yeah, you can see it all over. I mean, the run game, the pass game, the style of how they call it down and distance-wise, it's extremely similar.
Laken Tomlinson is, seems to be a very unsung guy. Not much is, not really discussed or written about. And a few things with him. Has he exceeded your expectations since you've got him in a trade? And then personality-wise, how would you describe him off the field?
I mean, we were big fans of Laken coming out of college, and he was in a situation in Detroit where he didn't get to play a ton. Didn't always feel like he was it fit him the best. So you never know until you get someone, and we felt very fortunate with being able to get a talented guy like Laken when we did. I think it was a 6th-round pick at the end of training camp. And he came in and played well for us his first year. I thought he played even better last year. So I'm not surprised by how he's playing this year because he works at it. He has the ability to do it, and therefore he keeps getting better. And Laken is a very smart guy. He's very by the book. He's going to do everything you ask. He's going to work on it, not make mistakes, and he's a real good guy.
Along the lines of what you're saying about what a small community it is and how things can overlap, when you're facing a player that you've coached before, is that stuff overrated, or are there like quirky, really things that you know that person does, or you watch them evolve over a different period of time since you've had that person as well?
I think it's overrated. I think it's not overrated if the guy doesn't have much tape out on him because everyone's just trying to guess, and you can talk a lot better than people would just guess. But I mean, Kirk has so much tape on him. I haven't been with Kirk. I mean, people don't get. I only coached Kirk for like 3 games. I mean, I was with him for 2 years, but other guys were playing. So, but it's also I'm not sitting there going against Kirk. So I think that stuff's totally overrated. He's been a lot of places. He can do a lot of things that I don't know about, and that'll be between Saul and our defense trying to stop him.
Safety tandem, so good.
Well, the scheme they play in is very good. It puts a lot of pressure on them, but allows them to make a lot of plays too. Harrison has been there for a while, and then 41. I did not see him the last time, but he's come in and been very impressive. I mean, he's got the ball skills. They both run and hit. They got very sound coverages with linebackers underneath and stuff, so there's not always a ton of pressure on them that allows them to just run, make plays in the run game by being physical, and allows them to be some ball hawks too.
How much did Robert consult with you as far as budgeting his time last week with the interview, and how did you think that he handled that situation with the Browns?
I mean, Saul was fine. When we had time off, so, I mean, it just works out. It was great getting the bye week, so it wasn't an issue at all. When all of us had a couple off days to rest with our family, Saul was in here working for an interview. But, no, I mean, you'd have to ask them, but I'm pretty confident how Saul did. Saul is well prepared for that type of stuff. If he's unbelievably impressive when if anyone sits down and interviews him, just like he was when I did. So if that's what they're looking for, I know that they were going to be pumped with what they saw.
Go down memory lane a bit. It's 1994. You're a 49ers ball boy, a freshman at Saratoga High School. What do you remember about that time in your life and that season at Saratoga?
I remember people making fun of me because I got Deion Sanders' throwback jersey for Christmas, and I didn't take it off till the day after the Super Bowl when my dad became the Broncos head coach. So I wore it for about how many ever days that is, a month and 10 days. I changed my undershirt, though, I promise. No, but I remember I was dedicated to I felt like I couldn't do school for that month because I had to get a good night's sleep to get ready for the games and things like that. I was just so 100% the Niners in the playoffs at that time. I can remember like it was yesterday, and it's funny to watch my wife be like that kind of right now, and my kids are getting there, not as old as I was, but they're getting close.
With all the passing stats and analytics that are available, what are the ones that matter to you, and the ones that you look at Jimmy's season and say, this is why he's having a good year?
I'd probably embarrass myself if I sat up here and talked too much stats because I guarantee you guys know him better than me. I just watch every play, and I kind of just have a pretty good feel on whether he's playing good or not. But, I think one of the biggest things in all of football is third down. There's not much you can do on third down. There is stuff you can do as scheming and everything, but not if you don't have a really good quarterback. And I think, that's always a pretty apparent stat to me. That's not foolproof. There's been lots of really good quarterbacks who their team hasn't been good on third down, but I think you just look at both teams. We're both very committed to running the ball, but you look at third down, if you take out all runs on third down, we're number 1 in the league, and Minnesota's number 2. So you got 2 teams who run the ball, but that also shows you got 2 quarterbacks.
Raheem Mostert is a self-described beach bum. I'm wondering if you're surprised by that, given the way he plays, the intensity he plays with on special teams, and with the way he runs the ball, kind of balancing, I guess, his personality.
If I just saw him on the football field, I would be surprised because you just don't think of many running backs as being big surfers. But, I'm with him every day, and I get to talk to him and stuff, so it doesn't surprise me at all the way he talks and just hanging out with him. He's from Florida, which surprises me because usually the surfers I feel like are from California, but I know there's some waves down there too. But I think it's been cool. He got a Billabong sponsorship a couple months ago, so he's enjoying it, and it's probably my favorite dance he does too.
Kyle, knowing how well they play against the run, what are some of the keys you guys have to do? Is it a matter of just sustaining the run game, like committing to it, or is there certain things you have to do because they're so strong up front?
No, it's a little bit of everything. Everybody wants to commit to the run and stuff, but committing to the run isn't just committing to the run. Players laugh at me a lot because I always say, do you guys want to run the ball? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, you better be able to throw it then. Or if we want to throw it, you better be able to run it. You don't just run the ball and get 40 runs by just calling run, pass, because then you're going to be in some 3rd and 8s, and you're not going to do that good on 3rd and 8. You have to mix it up. You got to do things. How does the defense play? How good do you do on third down? Are we getting some explosive runs? Because eventually, if you just get 5 yards here and there every time, that's great, but are you going to get points? So all that stuff goes into it. So you can't give a good answer for that because there's variables of the entire game that usually leads to who has the most run carries, and usually the team who has the most run carries wins. So you try to get the most run carries, but the answer isn't just calling run every play.
What progress have you seen Deebo Samuel make over the course of his rookie season, and has his sort of added experience toward the end of the year allowed you to do more with him in the offense?
Yes, Deebo's allowed us to do more and more each week. Just going through the whole year, always, receivers, the style of the game in college, that there's not as much man-to-man. It's a lot more fast tempo. There's huge zones with where the hashes are, so it's very hard to get good at route running, and especially when you got some of these guys who are pretty talented with the ball in their hands. Working on the routes so much in college is kind of a waste of time. They're just going against zone, just get them open in the zone and have them run. It's almost like a fast break basketball. So when you get that, guys are sloppy a little bit on their routes, which Deebo was because he didn't have much experience. But for him to play all year like that and to get better each week, even battling through some injuries, it's been great. It says a lot about him as a man, but that's where he's improved the most.
Katie Sowers commercial never started a playoff game. Jimmy Garoppolo's never started a playoff game. What will determine his success or failure in that new environment?
How good he plays and how good everyone plays around him. That stuff's so funny to me because he could play great, and we might come up short, and I don't want people to say he can't win a playoff game. I felt like last week was a playoff game. That was pretty intense, or whenever we played Seattle. So I think he's shown that he can handle himself and poise. He's played some really good games, and just like everybody, hopefully he does it this Saturday, which will be his first playoff game. But I think Jimmy's played in some pretty big games, and anyone who's around him in those games and talks to him and stuff, it's not much different in those games with him as a preseason game. He stays the same.
You went through the interview process. You went through the interview process, obviously.
You won that. You were the most aggressive.
Coming here, you were in the playoffs. There's obviously some inherent disadvantages to your team continuing to win for some coaches, advantages for others, some inherent distractions. How do you feel about the whole process overall? Is there a better way?
What you're talking about with having a bye week and stuff?
Yeah, just the whole, having to wait until your team is eliminated to get hired.
Oh, that part. Yeah, I think it's tough. I don't necessarily have a better way. I mean, I think it's real tough. I mean, there's so much turnover, and this is the time for jobs for a lot of people in this league, and but it's not for how many teams are left, whatever it is. Those people can't do much about that. So I think it's less on the head coach. I think it's more on all the position coaches who are sitting and waiting. I mean, usually the guy who's going to become the head coach and stuff, it's going to be all right. But it's kind of tough when you have all the other guys on the staff and their families who are kind of in limbo. Should they be looking hard for another job or waiting? And I think that's really the toughest thing.
All right, guys. Wait till after the Super Bowl.
Sorry,
We gotta go.
not aggressive, no.
What's up, everyone? I think just the intensity and everything like that. I've been a part of some playoff games and seen the atmosphere of the building ramp up, the atmosphere of the coaches, players, everyone. So just a lot more energy in the building for sure.
From your past experience, do you treat that any differently?
Personally?
Quarterback treat it any differently?
I mean, you have your routine that you try to stick to. I'm pretty consistent with that, so it won't change too much. I think just you got to feed off that energy though a little bit. It's playoffs. You got to love it.
How much did you watch on Sunday?
Just about all of them, yeah.
Do you watch it from I'm getting ready to play these guys perspective, or how do you balance that?
The NFC teams, yeah. The AFC you got to enjoy a little bit, but you're trying to do scouting reports on them as you go. Just pick up anything you can from the TV copies like you always do, but just being able to see them live, it's a little different.
So what's always a big takeaway?
Vikings.
What's my scouting report? Yeah. They're a talented group defensively, very sound. They have their rules. They stick to their rules. Coach Zimmer does a great job getting them in great plays, and they make it tough on offenses. So that D-line, they're impressive. They'll get after you, and so it'll be a good test for us.
They've been really effective against tight ends, defending tight ends. What is it that they do that is effective?
Their overall scheme, I think, helps them with that. But they have talented safeties, talented linebackers who are the guys covering them, and they do good in man-to-man situations. So it'll be tough on us to get those completions.
Jimmy, why did Emmanuel Sanders seem to have such an impact when he arrived, and how much has his postseason experience? A lot of talk about you not playing the postseason, but here's a guy who did and was very successful. How does that help this week?
Yeah, well, whenever you got guys with experience like that, I think just whether it's sharing their experience, sharing stories of what they've went through, just anything like that could always help the younger guys. And we got a lot of guys who haven't played in playoff games, so it'll be good to share that stuff.
Why did he have an impact when he got here in a trade? What about his?
There's a number of things. I think it starts with his just being a pro. The trickle down effect that he had to the other receivers and other skill positions on offense was huge, and it doesn't always go as seen, but just the stuff he does in the locker room and things like that, and obviously his performance on the field speaks for itself. But he brings a little bit of everything.
Is there Raheem Mostert has called himself a beach bum? He surfs and skateboards. Do you notice that in his personality, and is there like a switch that he flips when he's on the football field that's different from that?
A little bit, yeah. I think we have a number of guys with that switch who could do that. But he's one of those guys, chill guy, gets along with everybody. So I could definitely see the surfer and skateboarder mentality. But Heem's an awesome guy to be around, great guy in the locker room. Just a pleasure to be around.
You've gotten in the playoffs before, obviously, but is it different? How's it different? Is it less relaxing now to go in as the main guy?
Obviously, being the starter and backup's a little different, but I'm trying to prepare the same I have this whole season. Treat this week, just go through my routine and everything like that, like I normally do. But like I said before, the energy, I think, just especially on Saturday in that stadium will be pretty special.
So much information out there on passing stats and that kind of thing. What statistical benchmarks are important to you when you sit down and look at it? What do you want to be seeing that you're doing well?
Honestly, I don't really look at the stats that much. I know it sounds cliche and everything, but as long as the quarterback's winning, I think he's doing his job and putting his team in a good position to win. That's, as the quarterback, that's your job.
Jimmy, having been in so many tight games this year, and especially big moments like, let's say, New Orleans, what does that do for you and I guess the overall team, but specifically for you heading into a game like this, which you know is probably going to be tight, heavily contested?
Yeah, well, we've had a couple of late games this season that just felt like playoff games. You know, starting with Seattle here, Baltimore, New Orleans, all those games. Just and we've said it throughout the entire season. I think it's going to help us going forward. But as far as the experience with it, I think just we don't have to deal with the noise and things like that, so it'll be a little different at home. But just the energy, you know, the intensity that's out there, it's just it's a little different.
What do you remember about the season opener in 2018 specifically? What the challenges that defense gave you?
Yeah, they do a good job with their disguise, you know, obviously holding it with the safeties and things like that, but just they don't give you anything easy. I mean, they make you work for everything down the field. There's really no easy completions, no easy, 8-yard run that you're going to get. So we're going to have to earn everything, and we know that going into this.
Hey, Jimmy, Coach Sauer's commercials been getting a lot of play the last 4 days
Which
or so.
commercials?
Coach Sauer, Katie Sauer.
Oh, yeah,
seen
yeah.
that. Just wondering, as an offensive assistant, how much growth have you seen since she's joined the staff from her?
She's been tremendous. I mean, Katie was here before I was, but just what she does with the receivers, all the skill position guys, how she interacts with them, it's special. And she's feisty, man. Katie's awesome out there. She'll get after the guys. I mean, it's fun to be around.
Just reaction to being fined for.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just reaction to being fined $7,000 for throwing the ball in the stands, and then finding out it was caught by a San Jose fan who had driven all the way to Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty accurate on the throw. I thought I saw the guy, wanted to, so I wasn't trying to be, start a riot or anything. I was trying to throw it to that specific guy, and he made a great catch on it. But yeah, I was glad it was a San Fran fan that caught that.
Joe Staley was honest a couple years ago about nearly walking away, and clearly this means a lot to him. I know it means a lot to all of you, but do you have a sense of how much this run means to him going into this?
Yeah, I think just not even this run, just this whole season in general. You could really see it after the Seattle game, how much it meant to, everybody. But Joe, I mean, he's been through the ups and downs of this whole organization. And so just the one in Seattle was a big one, and we just want to keep this thing rolling for him.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, guys.
How you spend the week off, or at least the week off from playing?
Just rested. Yeah, took full advantage.
How do you feel physically?
Pretty good. I think that was obviously really important for us. Obviously, we're going to prepare really hard this week, but just getting our bodies back allows us to practice even harder. So,
How much does having D on the field impact how offensive lines approach you specifically? Do you notice that maybe you get more favorable situations, or what's the balance like?
yeah, I mean, having an extra pass rusher always helps. So, yeah, I mean, get more one-on-ones, get the slide to you as much. Opens up stuff for the interior guys as well. You'll probably see them start to get more opportunities with D on the field too. So it's not just me, but it's just great to have another good pass rusher on the field.
What's he been like behind the scenes in terms of handling the injury, the rehab, maybe the frustration of not being able to play in some of these big games?
D's a vet. He knows how to take care of his body, how to come back from stuff. He knows when is the most important time for him to be healthy. So obviously he's had some setbacks, which is pretty disheartening for anybody trying to play, but the fact that he's feeling great now is all that we could ask for.
As far as taking care of your body, when did you come up with the routine that you use now? I mean, how long have you been doing your after game stuff, all that stuff?
I'd say during my combine prep, I started training with my brother's trainer, and that's kind of where I got my stuff from.
I mean, you're routinely the last guy, to come into the locker room after a game. I mean, did you have to kind of tell yourself to take your time and kind of go through all those steps for the maintenance of it all?
I mean, it's just kind of who I am. Whenever I know something's good for me, I'm going to take full advantage of it. From high school on, maybe I had coaches telling me to do the wrong thing, but I thought it was the right thing, so I would abuse it thinking it's helping me. So whenever I find something that I know helps me, I'm going to use it.
As a pass rusher, when you watch Cousins play, including last week, what strikes you about him in terms of your ability to get to him?
You're not going to be able to rush him unless you stop the run, and that's what we're focused on.
have you
Nick,
seen from
there's so
Dalvin
much,
Cook and
so
how
much
is he?
scrutiny in the playoffs, obviously, and it's almost, sometimes it's, people talk about the pressure. How much just fun is it to be playing this time of year and have so much at stake as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky coming into a really great team. First year, get to play in the playoffs, get a bye week to start out. Not many people get this opportunity in their careers, so I'm just trying to latch on to the older guys and see what they're gonna do to prepare. Listen to all the tips my coaches have. But no, I'm just super excited to still be playing football, and now it's every team you play is going to be a really good team, so we have to play our best.
What have you seen from Dalvin Cook and how he runs, trying to defend him?
Yeah, I've been watching him since Florida State. He's really good. Not many people could just maintain the speed that he maintains through contact. He just makes cuts and never slows down, and he's physical. They got two of them, so it's going to be a challenge. We've played some good backs, but we haven't played him, so we just got to bring it.
Obviously still some football left, but how would you assess your rookie season? How do you think it went overall?
I think it's still going on, so that's a good thing.
Thanks, Nick. We got just Staley here for you guys.
Goodbye.
Joe, what does it mean for you just to be back in this situation?
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting. Obviously, to be in this situation, haven't been here since 2013, so excited to get back in the playoffs and play meaningful football. And excited for the opportunity this week. And big game, and just excited. I really don't know what else to say. Just excited for the opportunity.
Did you sometimes feel like it might not happen again for you?
Maybe I'd be lying to you if I said, no, I always believed. But, I mean, there's some dark years there that we had here in this franchise. I think it's been well written about and reported on. But once I met Kyle and John and the vision they had for the franchise, I was pretty confident that we were going to get there, and was just happy that I still was feeling the way I felt and still had years left to play and was going to be able to see this through, and so excited to be here in this opportunity and go get it done.
Do you have a time frame
What
on
about
it,
them?
Joe?
I mean, do you think that?
Did you have a time frame once you met Kyle and John? Did you, in talking to them, in your
No, I mean,
mindset-
you realize that they have to, the position that we were in, coming off of a 2-14 year, kind of wanted to completely rebuild the roster. It's going to take time. It's not going to be one off season. But, just saw the guys that they were bringing in, guys they were drafting, and everything they've been telling me since the day they got here has been, been true. They haven't lied to me or any of the players that they've been in here, and they've had a vision from day one, and it's been exciting to see them build this place.
Joe, what do you tell the younger guys about playoff atmosphere, media coverage, heightened fan interest across the country? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, this is the stuff that can get a little bit distracting. Is the media coverage, like you said, the heightened awareness of what we're doing. But as far as performance on the field, that's what we've been doing the whole entire season. I think that's a big thing to stress to the guys. And I haven't made any speeches, and I don't think anybody's going to make any big speeches. It's about doing what we've done the whole entire season and preparing the way we prepared every single day. That's what's going to carry us through the playoffs, and it's what's going to prepare us for the game on Saturday, and then hopefully going forward. So, but we can control what we can control, and that's the practice we have today and the preparation we put in. You don't have to put any extra pressure on yourself. As a playoffs, you got to do something different. It's all about just doing exactly what we've done the whole entire year. That's why I think the habits and the routines that you build during the season is so important for opportunities like this. You don't have to reinvent the wheel at all.
This is Jimmy's first playoff start. What is it about Jimmy that makes you feel like this will just be another week for him?
The way that he's been the whole entire time that he's been here. I think the thing that I always come back to when asked about Jimmy, I think the thing that I respect the most about him, and the guys in the locker room respect the most about him, is his preparation and his work ethic. You see a lot of talented guys come into the NFL throughout the years, but what guys really respect are the preparation and work ethic that he puts in. And he's been the same guy since he's been here since day one. He's going to try to be the most prepared person he can be. He's going to practice the same way every single day. Just that stuff I was talking about last question is really prevalent with Jimmy and the way he prepares, and he's not going to try to reinvent anything. He's not going to try to do anything different. He's going to be the same person, the same quarterback he's been for this franchise since he's been here.
How does he demonstrate his preparation? Do you see him prepare?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's always in the building. The guy's doing everything he can. He's asking questions. You go on the football field, he's got different answers. He's talking to different people. Everything that you just see. It's not just like you can tell the guy knows his playbook or anything. It's just like on field doing stuff in practice. Asking questions, asking the right questions. Just very detailed in his preparation and knowing what to expect, and visualizing all the different stuff. And he's a guy that's been in here since it's one of the first, the cliche, the first guy in, last guy to leave. But he exhibits that, and it's not just a show; it's who he is.
What's Raheem Mostert done behind the scenes that's allowed him not only to get playing time, but excel and make the most of what he's got?
I mean, he's really taking advantage of his opportunity. And I think what's been most excited about his journey is just is the actual journey to where he is right now. And I think it's that work ethic that he's displayed. I mean, he's never complained about his role when he was a core special teams guy. He was going to be the best special teams guy we had in this team. And when he was doing look squad running back for us, he was going to give us the best look squad he had. And then when his opportunity came up there to get a lot of substantial carries for us, and he was going to do the best job he could. It was just always about doing what he could do to help the team. And this is a great message for a lot of young guys, not really complaining about your role and what your role is currently, but just trying to be the best player you can be for the football team, and you never know what's going to happen and what opportunities are going to arise, and he's really made the most of it.
What did the Vikings present?
Explosion.
What are the biggest challenges that the Vikings present?
Yeah, the Vikings are very, very sound up front. They're very sound defense. They have a lot of guys that have played in the system and played together for a long time, so they know exactly where each other are going to be. It's really hard to get them, out of position. And so it really just comes down to, doing your techniques and your blocks. And they have really talented players up front. Everybody knows Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin have been great edge pairing in the NFL for a long time. And, they both present unique challenges as far as tackles go. And, but yeah, all across the board, you look at everybody, they're a very sound defense, and they play well together.
It seems like he gave you an established receiver that you really needed when he came in.
Yeah, he came in and he just did, what was asked of him. He was exactly who he was, and he was a big play guy and plays a lot of energy and, fit really seamlessly into this locker room. And I think it was pretty easy for him because we had an established locker room, and he didn't come in having to be, a culture changer for anybody. He just kind of came in and fit into the offense and really seamlessly into the whole entire locker room. And it's been a pleasure to have him on the team.
Thanks, Joe. You got Emmanuel here for you guys?
Hey, there he is.
Said about you, I mean, your lockers are right there. What have you got? With Joe Staley, what he said about you. Your lockers are right next door to each other. What have you learned about Joe Staley over the past couple of months?
And I love being locker buddies with Joe. He lets me, with the basketball goal off in there, he lets me sit in his locker so I don't get hit by a basketball. I told all my teammates, I said, I feel like the only way I go on IR is if I take a basketball to my head or something. Because those guys shoot all the time, but it's the good luck charm. So I just kind of scoot over in Joe's locker, and Joe would come around and see me at his locker. And I try to get up. He'd be like, no, you're good, you're good, you're good. So that just kind of shows you what kind of guy he is, He's a great teammate. I enjoy playing with him. When I first got here, he was battling so many injuries. He came back, and then he had the hand. And, he's the definition of resilient. And to have a long career like he's had, it's been extraordinary. And he's a guy that, I'm 10 years in the league, but I look up to because I want to be where he's at some point in his career. And so, what a great guy.
You played 17 games this season. How much did this bye mean to you?
It meant a lot. It meant a lot more than I thought it would have meant, and how I feel today. If you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I was like, what's going on in my body? Certain things were just aching. My ankles were sore. My big toe was sore. Just everything. And now here I am. I had the little bye. I had an opportunity to get a break. Just last week was really just jogging through a lot of stuff, and now my body feels good and ready to go. So it was definitely tough. I've saw a lot of things on Twitter saying, if the NFL wants to change the season to 17 games, they should ask me, and I say no. Because my body was hurting, and I needed that break, so yeah.
How does the locker room feel to you? Is it loose? Is it tightening up, with the
I think it's loose. When you got guys like Kendrick Bourne walking around the locker room dancing, blasting music, and doing all kind of dance moves, it's kind of hard to not be loose, And even this morning, he was in the locker room dancing around, him and Debo Samuel and all the rest of the young guys. And I looked over at Sherm. I said, man, these guys keep us young, man. And so guys like that are good for the ecosystem of this team. And, guys like me and Sherm are good, for the playoff experience to let them understand the magnitude and what we need to accomplish. So I think we got a well-balanced team.
How much does your playoff experience? I mean, you obviously had a good run with the Broncos finishing here in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How much can you lean on that as you go?
You know what? If you ask me what does the playoff experience mean, I think it just comes naturally. But I think the entire time since I got here, this team has been paying attention to the details. I can sit back and say, okay, this is the time for us to lock in, but I feel like we've been locked in all season, or ever since I got here. And so when I talk about playoff experience, I just say, you know what, don't do too much. I feel like when a lot of people, they get in the playoffs and they think they got to do more. They got to do more. But at the end of the day, you're in the playoffs. You've already been winning games. Just remain who you are. And I think it's kind of like what you were saying about, staying loose. Those young guys, be who you are. Dance. If you dance, dance. Whatever you was doing during the season, continuously do that. And that's going to help, because I feel like a lot of people are going to overdo it or overthink it, which in turn can be a bad thing.
That's something you have to talk to Jimmy about this week?
No, I don't have to talk to Jimmy about that. Jimmy's... How many Super Bowl rings that guy got? He knows. He knows what it takes to go all the way and win it all. And he's seen the preparation from one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So at the end of the day, he understands the process.
You were probably focused on coming back from your injury in training camp. But when the Broncos and the 49ers had those joint practices, you talking to your teammates, did you get the idea or did you have the idea that the 49ers could be this good?
I remember after we practiced against this defense for the first time, they kind of shut us out that first practice. And I remember calling the team up and telling them, like, that was embarrassing. And I didn't know that, they're going to be the defense that they were now. But I knew that we couldn't move the ball on them the first day of practice. And then the second day we were able to. I think the altitude kind of got them a little bit, which I was happy about. But, and I remember coming out and just seeing the team and just being like, man, these dudes are huge. You look at Buckner, you look at Ark, you look at these guys, and you're like, man, like, are they tackles? But they're interior D linemen, and the corners were big, Sherman, and 6'3" corners. Everybody's big. And so I noticed that right off the bat.
You also got to see Debo and Kendrick back then. How have they progressed since?
Yeah, I really didn't see them too much because I was going against the defense and they were on a totally different field. So I didn't even know who those guys were, and I didn't really know too much about them until I got here. And just to see Debo and see KB and how these guys practice and how they run through the ball and they run after the catch, I was just like, let me try to fit in with these guys, because one thing about this league is you can be in your year 10 and you'll take a guy that's year 1. And if you don't think that you can learn from the guy from year 1, you're not going to make it too long in this league. I feel like everybody can learn something from somebody. And so when I first got here, I saw these guys running through the ball and running after a catch. And I said, you know what, like, let me go and talk to him and ask him how he does it. Because if you watch, like, Kendrick Bourne run through the football, even when you go to the games, and a lot of guys in this league, I've been in the league a long time, a lot of guys don't run through the football like that. And he has exceptional hands and Debo in the way that he run after the catch. And so that's something that I try to pick up off those guys.
In retrospect, how crucial was it for you to be in Rich Scangarello's offense for a little while?
I think it was really crucial. You know, obviously, when I was about to get traded, I was hearing rumors to Saints, to the Patriots, and 49ers, and I said, you know what, like, for me, like, the easiest transition would be, you know, here, because a lot of the terminology, a lot of the plays, I've already did that in OTAs. I've already put in months and months of preparation. So when I got here, it was just an easy transition, and it ended up working out.
All right, thanks, Emmanuel.
All right, thank you, guys.